Well, good afternoon from us at Wood and Stuff Outdoors. Today we're going to talk about a question that we get asked an awful lot is, how do I tell my trees apart? How do I know what trees I have on my property? And I guess growing up here in kind of northeastern Minnesota, I guess I take it for granted. Just knowing the tree species that are around. We kind of are on the intersection of hardwoods and subboreal conifer species. So it's a little bit interesting in that we have, a few different oaks, a couple different maple types, other hardwoods, ashes, but also we have a variety of pines and other conifers too. And one of the trees that we get asked the most about is the difference between spruce and balsam fir, neither of which are a true pine, but they are an evergreen nonetheless. So I've got a couple of examples here. And now IDing trees in the winter is a little bit more tough than in the summer, but we'll go through even deciduous trees later too. But evergreens are pretty easy year round. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and we're gonna take a look at a nice spruce tree here. Okay, so the easiest way to tell between a spruce and a balsam fir is just the general architecture. Now I'm going to try to back up far enough to where you can see. In fact, maybe this one here in the yard is better. There's two of them right there. They have kind of a somewhat rounded shape. The branches are very stiff. They do not droop very much. They kind of hold out laterally pretty well. Even with a snow load, they're very stiff, very sturdy trees. They will on a good site they'll live a couple hundred years. Typical might be 80 to 100. But these two trees here are about 100 years old, and they are diameter at breast heights probably 18 inches or so. So they're not huge trees, but they're definitely decent sized for this region. Balsam fir, take a walk with me here. I've got a lot of balsam fir on the property, but I'm going to try to get us to a spot where we can see them better. Yeah, there's one right here. I wish I had them side by side, it'd be a lot easier. But this balsam fir is fairly tall, straight. They both grow really straight typically. But the architecture, they're a lot more slender of a tree. The branches are nowhere near as rigid. And the top is very conical, if you will. Slender right to a point. Whereas if you recall, the spruce was a lot more rounded. And anyway, then another thing that you can tell by is the bark. And now we're gonna go across the bridge and look at the bark of that fir tree. Yeah, actually I got a smaller fir over here that's closer. There's a smaller one. We'll look at the bark. The bark is a lot smoother than on a spruce tree. And one thing that it has a lot of times, if I can find one here, yeah, it'll have these blister pockets that are full of sap. I don't know if you can see that very good, but most balsam fir will have a lot of blister pockets on them, whereas the spruce doesn't have that. The best way and easiest way to tell is by looking at the needles. And I'll try to do this one-handed here. If you take a cluster of needles from a spruce tree, you can roll them between your fingers like that. And you take a cluster of needles from a fir tree, they're flat, and you can't roll them between your fingers. So that's the easiest way. They'll both grow on similar sites, variety of soils. They're definitely not site specific by any means. They tend to grow best on kind of heavier, wetter soils, but you will also see them upland too, and also mixed in with hardwoods. So they're definitely generalists. As far as in our region, balsam fir are much more common than white spruce. But there was much more white spruce on the landscape historically, but not the case anymore. It's balsam fir. Balsam fir being a little bit more shade tolerant and a little bit more of a kind of an early successional type species. It kind of has thrived in our new landscape with more frequent harvest and those sorts of things. So, but the cones and seeds are used, wildlife use them kind of the same way. They both provide good thermal cover. The spruce that they tend to get bigger. There's a balsam again, and then a couple spruce in the yard there. So they do get bigger cavities for wildlife, better timber quality. If I had the choice on the sawmill, I would cut spruce over balsam fir. Strength, stability of the timbers is better as well. So that's kind of what I've got for you between white spruce and balsam fir. There is a species of spruce also called black spruce. I don't have any right here, and that'll be a video for another day. They tend to grow in more acidic bog type conditions, but we'll look at the black spruce another day.